Yo, what's good guys, it's Steven. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back on the Splitmind channel. I'm super excited to be back making videos again. I'm going to be uploading every Thursday from now on. So yeah, in my first tutorial back, I'm going to be showing you guys some tips that I like to use just to improve on my drum selection and my beats. I'm going to be going through a couple different beats just to show you guys a wide variety of my drum selection. So yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, here's what the first beat sounds like. So as you guys can tell, it's definitely like a super fast, high energy trap beat. So the first sounds that I started with were the hi-hats. So I chose, and by the way, all of these sounds are from my stash kits. If you guys don't know what the stash kits are, they're basically just a big folder of all my favorite drum sounds that I've either made or collected over a while. So if you guys are interested in copying some super fire, unique drum sounds, be sure to click the link in the description. So the first sound that I grabbed was just this hi-hat, and I just played a simple two-step pattern, just with the little pause at the end. I also did use the offset tool, which is a super fire way to create bounce, especially in hi-hats. And then after that, I wanted just to add like a little bit of like a low hi-hat, so I just added this one called Geosphere. And then lastly, I just added a high hi-hat. It's kind of hard to notice when you're playing the full beat. And then next, I definitely wanted to grab an open hat. If you guys don't use open hats in your beats, I would definitely recommend it. They're a super easy way to just give your beat a character. It definitely depends on what type of open hat you use, but it can definitely be a defining factor of the beat. So I just pulled this one from my stash kit called Stigma. A key thing that I like to do when I'm making trap beats is to use pretty short open hi-hats. So as you can tell, this is a really short one. You definitely don't want to have like long crashes in your beats unless the type of beat that you're making calls for that. I think especially for bounce, short, tight sounds are definitely the best. So after the hi-hats, another huge factor in my beats is my percussion. I think percussion is definitely the easiest way to make your beats stand out. I feel like if you listen to any like big producer, they definitely have some signature percussions. Like if you listen to Boi1da or Wondagurl, you can definitely tell when it's a Boi1da or Wondagurl percussion. But anyways, the first perk that I grabbed sounded like this. It's almost like a spaceship sound, which I thought sounded cool and went with the beat. And then I grabbed another similar sound that sounds like this. A super cool tip for you guys is if you want to have cool perks, pick two that sound similar and kind of offset them a little bit. So when I play them with the rest of the beat, you're going to hear the similarity between the two of them actually creates a cool bounce. Especially this part where they go back and forth, that can definitely create some crazy bounce. And then lastly, I just added this rim. I just took a super fire rim that I like to use a lot, and I kind of manipulated it a little bit. As you can see, I stretched it and pitched it up. Like I said before, when you're making like trap beats or anything like with a lot of high energy, you definitely want to use tight drum sounds. If you listen to a lot of Wondagurl beats, she definitely has a lot of like super short but crisp sounds. That's what gives her beats like a crazy amount of bounce and also makes the mix sound super good. And then I just added this perk and some cool bounce areas that I thought sounded good. Another thing that I added to this was I just added this reverb. A cool tip that I would give to you guys is that when you have like a couple different perks, try some different effects on the different perks. It's all about just like creating a character for the beat. And yeah, if you have some cool effects on like a perk or the hi-hat, it can definitely define the beat and make the beat stand out. And then the last three sounds were just the 808s, the kick, and the clap. So I'll just play those soloed. The first sound is the main 808. A great tool that I like to use is when I look at the waveform, I kind of look to see if it has the little kick in the beginning. As you guys can see, it has a huge dip in volume, which means it has like a harsh attack. Normally, if you have a low 808 but it has that sort of kick sound to it, it can definitely make your beats slap. It can definitely make your beats hit a lot more. Because if I just started the 808 around this area, then it would kind of just be a sub. And then the thought process behind the kick is I just wanted to have a super low, hard hitting kick. Especially if you're making like trap beats, you definitely don't want to have a kick that has too much high end. Like for example, if you go to this Boi1da kit that I use all the time, there's a lot of super fire kicks, but not a lot of these kicks would fit in a beat like this. Like for example, if I tried to use a kick like this, it wouldn't really work because that kick isn't suited for beats like this. A good rule of thumb is just to have like a super hard hitting kick when you have a beat with a lot of energy. And then lastly, a huge part of this beat is the distorted 808, which gives it like a crazy energy. Especially when you're making like up tempo turnt beats, you definitely want to have some sort of distortion element in it. Whether that's like a slight distortion on the snare or some perk sounds that are kind of distorted, I think distortion can definitely make your energy go up. So I just have this 808 that just plays in the second half of the pattern. And yeah, that's pretty much it. After I arranged it, here's what the beat sounds like again. So yeah, now I'm going to show you guys a completely different beat just so I can explain some different sound selections. So first things first, here's what the second beat sounds like. As you guys can tell, it's kind of like some smooth R&B type shit. Definitely something that maybe like Harlow would fuck with.
What is up with the fouling, and why would you say you're fouling so much out here?
You are so fine, bro.
So yeah, I'm gonna start breaking down the sound selection for this beat too. So the first sound that I probably started with when I was making this beat was the hi-hat. For this beat, I chose like a high hi-hat because I definitely wanted to have like that crisp high end. So I just chose this hi-hat from my stash, and here's what it sounds like. And pretty much I just played like a super simple pattern, but like I mentioned in the previous beat, offsetting your sounds can definitely make your sounds hit a lot more and can also make some crazy bounces. Even though it already has a little bit of a tail in the beginning, I even offsetted it a little bit in this time knob over here. Obviously for an R&B-esque beat, you definitely want to have some like R&B classic sounds. Cowbells are like one of my favorite sounds to go to. I think for these type of beats, any sort of cowbells or toms can really make your beat sound classic and timeless. So I just tuned the cowbell, as you should whenever you're making beats and using cowbells. And here's what the two sound like together. And so after that, I added this kick. As you guys will be able to tell, it's a super short and tight kick, but I also pitched it down a good amount just so that it hits in the low end. Here's what it sounds like with the hi-hats, and also notice how the hi-hat offsetting makes the kick hit a lot harder on its own. So yeah, those were the drum selection ideas for the first three sounds, and then now I'm gonna go on to some more perks. As I mentioned before, open hats can definitely give your beats a lot of character, so for this one I wanted to go for some old school like rappity rap shit. That's definitely like some old school boom bap sounding shit, which kind of matches the vibe of the beat. And then after that, I just added some other perks. I added like this little tom sound. It has a little bend to it, which is kind of cool. And then in the last bar, I added this snap. I think the perks definitely mesh well together just because of how noticeable they are. I think the way that their rhythm too is really important, because even if you have super fire drum sounds, you definitely don't want to just throw them throughout the whole beat. You want to be able to space them out. Like for example, I only put one instance of this snap for every 4 bars, and that's just a big tip so that your sounds can stand out, because if I just put a snap on like every bar, then it wouldn't sound that cool. And then the only other sounds that I added were this basic clap and the bass. Now obviously picking your bass is like a huge part of your beat, and for this I definitely wanted to have some Bryson Tiller type sound to it, so I just chose the sub bass and manipulated it a little bit. I pulled the out knob all the way up, I reversed the bass. I almost made it like a bass pluck, but there's a lot of attack to it, so it kind of sounds smoother. And when you play these sounds with the rest of the beat, you'll definitely be able to hear how well they mesh together, and also how they play into the theme of the whole beat. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this beat, so I'm just gonna let it play out one more time. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole video. I hope you guys learned something about sound selection. If you guys have any further questions about like my thought process for when I'm choosing my sounds, be sure to leave them in the comments. I'm definitely going to be down there answering all the questions that you guys have. Other than that, be sure to go follow my Instagram at @StevenSchaefer_ and join the Discord. There's going to be a link in the description too. I'm doing a lot of cool stuff in there. And then lastly, be sure to follow my Twitch. I'll pop it up on screen right now. And yeah, that's it for the video. See you guys in the next one. Peace.